right, now it's time for the good old promised part 2 to the episode before that had that really compelling and interesting ending. You were speaking about your mother having the power or having a lot of luck, and yes.
Let's call it the gift.
The gift of holy gab.
Sounds like she's a fucking boxing promoter for Jesus. Got the gift of gab.
No, that would be the gift of holy jab.
Boxing Jesus. I like that image. I want to get a poster of that. I'm just gonna sacrilege.
Oh, God.
Just make sure I didn't get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Alright, man. You ready?
I wouldn't be saying that shit when all this stuff's been happening in the house.
That's probably why that makes sense. No, get ready for a month of sleep paralysis. Damn it.
Just get a little out and I'll come get you.
You ready, man?
Yes.
Alright. So this story, it's about my mom fucking just doing like a cleaning in my brother's his house. So this was around the time when him and his wife were expecting their youngest child now. He's a little healthy little boy. But around that time, I have conversations with him from time to time because I wasn't seeing him as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But during that time, he would always tell me stories like he see like these little demon things, little tiny burnt little they look like little babies, little baby carcasses. They
almost were like you've seen Silent Hill, right?
Yes.
So kind of like when she's going down that alley and you hear the babies crying, but it's like the little burnt, crazy creature looking things.
Yep, exactly. I think that's when he tells me that's what I imagine. But tiny little fetuses, basically, they would run through his house and they'd always run towards his wife. But he was the only one I was seeing them. I never talked to her about it, but she never really saw anything like that. But yeah, he was telling me they would run around near her, and then he was always things what the fuck is going on? Why are they attaching themselves to her? And I always told him, I was it's probably just because she's carrying life. It's this tiny little baby that's fucking it's gestating. Let's use that word. But he said that the scariest one was they were sleeping in their den, and that she was sleeping on the bed, and then he was still awake watching TV, and he sees one that's running from behind his bar. It runs around and it's running towards her, it's about to get on her leg, and he fucking threw. I think he said he threw a pillow or some shit. And after that day, the day after that, he called my mom over so they could have a conversation about that. And my mom's really religious, so when you tell her this is happening, the first thing she's gonna go to is, it's Jesus. You need Jesus in your life.
Yeah.
And so she was telling him, if you want, I'll pray over the house. It's I'll play Christian music, and then I'll read passages from the Bible, and I'll see what I can do. And he's all right, cool. And then they start praying in the den, and they start working their way over to their room. And I this point, I'm hanging around with them, but I'm not too involved.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sitting there on my phone. I'm on Facebook and shit. And so then I'm hearing them pray. I was I'm just gonna go sit in their living room because they have the den, and then they have the kids' rooms in the hallway. Then they have the living room, kitchen, and then on the other side of the living room is their room, my brother's and his wife's room. So I'm just sitting in the living room, and I'm on my phone. I just hear them praying from they're going from the living room. They're praying in all the rooms, and actually I forgot to tell you, when I got there that day, I was walking past my nephew's room, and I heard loud thumping, doo, 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 doo. And then I see a shot over under the door, and I was it's probably just my nephew in there. So I told my brother, I was he didn't go to school today? He's yeah, he's in school right now. So I run into the room and I open the door and I'm checking the closets and under the bed. He's what's going on? He's dude, I literally heard thumping there. And I heard I saw a shadow of somebody standing in the room, so I went to go check to see if somebody was in there. He's like, nah, dude. It's like, that's been happening. It's like, it's not just you that's seeing this shit. It's like, I've been seeing this. And the kids have seen this shit too. And that's like the whole thing that made him, like, motivated him towards, like, calling my mom. So I was like, alright. So I'm at, so back to the story. Sorry. I just want to get the little brief filler in there. But I'm sitting in the living room, and then they go into my nephew's room. And they start praying. And I hear like a heavy voice that's not my brother's. 'Cause my brother's has a deep voice, but this is deeper than his voice. And it started off as my mom's voice, and like she's going and she's like talking and like in this like then it's hard to describe, man. It's like it's a voice, but I don't recognize the voice. Like if you hear the voice, it's like very distinct. Like it's deep, but it also has like. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's crazy. But it just wasn't her voice. It was like a dude's voice, but it wasn't my brother's voice either. And she starts praying in that room, and then I start hearing like shit, like shaking, like do. And then they go into my brother's room, and the voice gets louder, and then I like start hear like it's what my mom's saying. Like she's like, "You are not welcome here." It's like in the name of the Jesus Christ and the Lord, I'm telling you to leave them alone. It's like, get out of this house. It's like, I don't want you here. I don't want you around my grandchildren. But at the same time, this is still the deeper voice. Like, what the fuck's going on there? But I'm just sitting in like the living room. I'm still on my phone. I was like, I'm terrified. I'm not gonna go check that out. And
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, no. But and it was like real crazy and shit. And then they finish up, and then like ever since, like you'll go back and you'll feel like the light, like the house has like a. It has like a better vibe to it. Like before, like you'd walk in and it'd be like real fucking heavy. Like you'll walk in and you'll be like, I don't want to be here for too long. You'd be like, fuck, I could like get bummed out and shit. And then you just feel like you're uncomfortable there. But after that, she fucking like you'd walk in and you'd be like, oh, it's a fucking happy place. All right, children laughing and it's not menacing at all. But yeah, man, that's the story about how she basically did a cleaning at my brother's house, which is a funny story. Back in the day, my mom used to pass herself as a fucking what's it called? Not a witch. It's called a curandera, which is basically like Mexican, like a good witch. Like, oh, I'll help you. It's like, oh, I'll cleanse your house and I'll cleanse you and I'll beat you with the stick and you'll be all good. She used to pass herself off as that, and she had a client that used to like give her a bunch of like fucking money like every week to come back.
Yeah.
But my mom does not do that. My mom did not do that at the time. She just wanted to make a quick buck. But it's crazy to see like the parallels from her doing that before, like just fucking scamming people, to her like actually being able to fucking like pray in a place and you'll feel it a lot better and shit. Like she's done that like a bunch of times, dude. She did that at my brother's house. She's done it at our old apartment too. When stuff was like really bad over there, like I'd just like walk in and I'd be like in a fucking volatile mood. Like I'd be fucking angry, like I want to fucking just blow up on somebody. That was probably just because of the situation we were in at that time as well. But I think that like we've talked in the last podcast about like residual energy.
Yeah.
I think like if you're putting off fucking negative energy, you're just gonna be like, hey, it's gonna stay there.
Well, I mean, that's why they say, too, you know, when it comes to poltergeist activity, they say that you can actually create your own poltergeist by just living in constant negativity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, too. Like, they were saying, like, poltergeist is more like, it's like a pop-off of, like, somebody's emotional state.
Yeah.
And, I think that's true, man, because... Like, when you're in a fucking, like, just in a bad mood all the time, then you'll start seeing, like, all this shit happening. When you're stressed out, you'll start seeing more of this shit happening as well. Hey, man, maybe that's why we have that tall man ghost in the apartment right now. Because, shit's been a little stressful lately, but hopefully this shit fucking fixes itself at some point.
Well, I mean, because, I mean, I walk in and I don't feel anything. And I mean, the only thing that I've ever experienced myself here has been that toilet stuff. Like, thankfully, I've never experienced anything else.
Yeah.
because then I'd be like, what the fuck, okay, I'm going to investigate this. But, I mean, have you noticed it doing anything negative, or just kind of being there, appearing, and...
Yeah, it seems just kind of like a little weird stalker kind of thing. But the part that fucks me up, though, is when I had come home early, and I was walking past your guys' room, and I heard it whispering, but, like, in your guys' voice. That's when I felt like it was more menacing than anything.
Were you able to, like, pick out anything that it was saying?
No, man, it was just whispers. I couldn't understand any of it, and I wasn't fucking gonna get near the door by myself. It's like, because that's the first thing you learn, is, like, you never go investigate the shit by yourself.
Yeah, and that's a big safety thing. I mean, in case something like a possession happens and you're on your own, that's kind of bad. Or, you know, it's something that is malevolent that can actually hurt you and you get harmed, and then, you know, there's nothing you can do at that point. So that's more so the whole team thing, and a lot of times it can do a lot more crazy stuff to just one person because you're in a more vulnerable kind of state by yourself. You know, you can get a little bit more easily paranoid, a little bit more easily scared.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, man. But it, like, I won't go into her room just because I feel like it's fucking, like, it's heavy. Like, I don't want to fucking be in there. Like, I can feel something that, like, it's bad in there, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way when she walks in here. But, I don't know, man. I think it might just be something that's fucking stuck here. Like, because it doesn't necessarily always feel like a fucking, like, it's like an evil fucking spirit. Like, you know, like when you come around like an entity and you can tell it wants to harm you.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like that. It just seems like it's doing its own thing. But the thing that did trip me out was that fucking the room thing where I heard the whispering in you guys' voices.
Yeah.
That's the only time I felt like, oh shit, like, I don't want to. Like, I'm fucking terrified.
See, well, that's, you know, kind of my thing too. Like, I haven't delved in and been like, hey, we should, you know, kick them out and investigate for a night and stuff, just because with, you know, my son here, it's like,
you don't want to bring something up and then not be able to get rid of it, and then I know the kids come over.
Well, that, and I haven't noticed anything, you know, with them. Like, I haven't had my son, like, wake up in the middle of the night or do anything weird.
Yeah.
Like, he's conked out. Yeah. And that's something I'm thankful for. I mean, I know my oldest daughter has said, I know it was one time both of them were sitting in the kitchen, and they were at the table, and my oldest daughter looks, and she sees the freezer open on its own.
That's actually happened to me too.
Really?
I was washing dishes, and then the freezer door just pops open, and I go in there and just to see like it's like some kind of like food or something like that's propping the door open. And I see these tiny little, what's it called, the Bluebell ice creams, little mini ones. Yeah. And I see those right there. I was like, that might be it. So I grab them and I put them and I rearrange them just so they can the door closes. And I close the door and it closes fine. And I go back to washing dishes. And then maybe like 20 minutes later it goes, and it just pops back open again. So it's, that might be something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know at, you know, my parents' house, she said that she's seen or heard things or saw a door or something open. I can't remember. I try and tell her, I try and tell her not to put too much thought into it, just because I don't want her freaking out. I mean,
you don't want to terrify them.
My parents have an antique room with World War II weaponry that was actually used and all kinds of crazy stuff. I know growing up as a kid, I had shit happen. My cousin saw what looked like I think he said like a cowboy in that room. One time he was in the bathroom, and if you stare directly across, you can see the antique room.
Yeah.
And he said he saw something standing there. I mean, I've had my name whispered in my ear there right before I went to bed. Like, it's been weird.
Yeah. I don't know, man, 'cause that goes back to residual energy. They could be attached to shit, and then just like World War II having so much fucking casualties. And like the fucking, like the weapons being involved in that's probably what it is. But I had another story actually. This is dude, I can't remember what stories I've told already. But I'm pretty sure I kind of like grazed over it when we were doing the podcast with Frankie a couple podcasts ago. And this is like the little trailer we lived in, like behind the school where we found all the witchcraft shit. Like the fucking stone circle, and then the fucking pig's foot wrapped in the red twine, and the white powder eggs that just fucking, they just break like that. My mom was telling me not to touch that shit. But when we were living there, the way the trailer was set up is living room. It's a living room, kitchen. Then from the, you're seeing a certain area in the kitchen, you could see through the hallway up until like the last bedroom. And next to the last bedroom was the bathroom. He had one bathroom. It was a nightmare. But I was sitting on the side of the table with my older brother, and me and him could look into the fucking the hallway, and I was maybe like 10. So I want to say my older brother was maybe like 16, 17 at the time. And we're having breakfast, fucking, I think it was like Saturday morning. And I look over just to look through the hallway, and I see like me and him turn. And I see like this fucking like kind of like a bluish figure, kind of like a tall dude just hunched over walking into the bathroom. And I tell him, I was like, "Did you see that?" And I was about to tell my mom, and he's like, "Don't say anything." And I never known why he told me not to say anything, but we had that happen. And then later on, when we still had that house, because we had it for a minute, dude.
Yeah.
I was maybe like, I want to say, no, it wasn't there. It was actually at the place that we moved to after that. It's the house my mom owns now. It's in the same place, same house. But I used to stay in my room, and then I would bring my nephew over. Not the oldest male, but the second oldest male.
Yeah.
And I'd just bring him over for the weekend because he'd always be bored at his house. So I was like, "Oh, we can play video games, and you can just sleep in my room on the floor." And after the first night, he never wanted to go back because he said he would wake up like every single time that he'd go. He'd wake up like at 3 a.m, hear like chains rattling and like dishes being thrown and broken on the ground there. And that's crazy because like nobody else heard it. Like my mom would be up like early morning, like praying and whatnot, so she'd be up at that time with her fiance at the time. I'll call him her fiance, but
that works.
Yeah, but nobody would ever hear it. It'd be just him, but he'd be like terrified, like crying. That like we'd bring him over, and then he'd always ask us, "Can you take me back to my house before you guys go to bed?" Like, no, it's late. He's like, just stay here and sleep. He's like, no, I don't want to stay here. It's like, cause that stuff. And then my mom would always pray with him, but every single night he'd hear the exact same thing. And I was like, that's crazy though, because nobody ever heard that shit. But that's like, I want to say it's around the time, no, it's a little before when I started having the sleep paralysis. But I don't know, man. That
so
house.
Do you think that was a precursor?
I don't know, because that house had some shit going on in it too. I can't speak for everybody, but personally for me.
What kind of other shit did you see there?
The cabinets would pop open, just like. But it's also the time where we were like, me and my brother and my sister, we'd watch a show called Relatos de Ultratumba. We'd watch it on Wednesdays, and it was a specific thing on Wednesdays because we used to always, me and my sister, we always used to go to church on Wednesday nights with my mom, and we'd always take care of kids, and we'd just go to see the service on Wednesday nights. And then we'd come home, and then we'd miss the show, and my brother would have just watched it by himself. But then there was like 2-3 months where we'd skip going to church with my mom, and she'd get super mad about that. But the Lord comes first, and you guys are just bringing in this evil media into the house, and I don't want to hear about this shit, and I don't want to see it. And we'd skip it to watch fucking Relatos de Ultratumba with my brother. And it's like a ghost hunting show, like a Spanish ghost hunting show, but it's always like really dark shit. Then I'd be like, oh, this lady, she died here, and then her ghost is attacked. And they're like, no, you got murdered. You're in a drug cartel. They fucking dismembered her. They cut her fingers off and shit. And it always be like dark shit like that. And they'd always find something, which was like the thrilling part of the show, because like, it would be like hard evidence that they found something. But the cabinets were always open when we were watching that shit. And then one time my brother had bought his food before the show started, so we were eating. And he told me, he's like, just go throw it away. And I go to throw, like, I'm about to be at the trash can, throw it away, and the fucking trash can starts shaking. And I tell him, he's like, maybe it's a rat. And I open it, and the trash can's fucking empty. Like, you can see the bottom all the way down to the bottom, and fucking No rat, no nothing. It just shook by itself.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I got one more. This was after we had watched... Which one's that Annabelle movie where all that shit's taking place during the day? I don't think it's the last one. I think it's the one before that one. Like, they're on the farm and they're explaining, like, the little origins of the little girl and the doll and all that shit.
Oh, yeah, I think that is...
Yeah, where they have it, like, locked in a closet or some shit like that. With, like, all the Bible verses. Well, me and my sister had gone to go see that movie in theaters. Which, actually, in theaters, when we were watching the movie, something fucking yanked my shoe off. Like, I'm not sure if you're... Well, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, like, how Harkins is set up. Where the first row is just, like, the drop. And then it has the fucking, like, the little metal piece. And I had my foot on that. But I didn't have it, like... dangling off. I had like my foot pressed against the metal bar.
Yeah.
And something went and just fucking like yanked my shoe. And there was nobody in front of us, so it didn't just fucking pop off. My shoe was like tied. Like this guy like fucking yanked.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, but during that movie, that's why I hate watching like any like scary movies or shit like that. They have to do with like demons or anything like that. Like personally, I won't fuck with that. I'd be like, oh, serial killer. All right, I'll watch that. But like anything that has to do with like demons, like Annabelle or some shit like that, I hate watching those movies just because it's like I grew up. My mom's like, you putting out these bad fucking energies and shit. And so after we had watched that movie, I was having nightmares for like 2 days after that. And after one of the nightmares, I woke up and I looked at the foot of my bed, and there's like a little boy, like little fucking tiny like, little boy there. And so filler information, in that house living at the time was my mom, my sister, and myself. No little kids. They'd bring my nephew over every once in a while, but this wasn't him. This little dude had like a little bowl cut and shit, and it was like I could make out some features in it, but I couldn't make out like a face.
Yeah. And
he was just standing at the foot of my bed smiling, and then he just like walks off out of my room, and I was like, I'm gonna just close my eyes and pray. And,
yeah, that's a little freaky.
Yeah, and I told my mom the next day, and she's like, well, that's what you get for watching those fucking devil movies. I bring those devil movies into my house. But we always grew up with that, like, don't fuck with, like, demon movies and shit. Like, you know, my sister now, she'll be like, I don't want to watch that. And, like, I'll watch a scary movie, but I'm not going to watch anything that has to do with, like, demons.
Yeah, I know. My mom had a movie on the other day when I was over there. It was... I think it was like The Exorcist, The Beginnings or something.
Yeah.
And I watch all movies. I'm not paranoid about any of them or anything like that. But it's one of those where, yeah, she tried to avoid looking at the TV anytime she could. Just because it was kind of, I guess, freaked her the hell out.
Why was she watching it then?
Oh, no, not her. The other one.
Oh, the other one. Yeah.
So it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, I mean, I get it. You're not a fan just because you were kind of raised that way, but it's such a good movie.
I guess, man. And even to like now, we always grew up with like the weird like belief. Like, it was more instilled by my stepdad than my mom. But like whenever you go to sleep, you gotta cover your TV and you gotta cover like any mirrors or shit. And we were always told that was more because, like, it's the entrance to the other world and people fucking things can get through on that side. And that freaks me out every once in a while 'cause, I mean, if you look to my right, I got a big-ass fucking mirror in my room.
Yeah, facing your bed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad as the one that is in her room that literally you have to pass it to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So there's times where at night I wake up and I go to the bathroom and coming back, I forget there's a mirror there and I see something move right next to me and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realize, oh yeah, there's a mirror there.
Oh, it's me. Haha.
Joke's on you, it's myself.
Joke's on you, it's me.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that, you know, I mean, I've heard that too, and that's where the movie Mirrors comes into play.
Yeah, fuck that movie. I don't like that one.
Well, I mean, and they have shown, like, videos of, you know, kids staring at themselves in the mirror.
And then
like,
they turn around and then
the reflection doesn't move at all.
Man, if I was that fucking person holding the camera, I'd throw the camera at that fucking mirror.
Yeah, but then they say if you break a mirror, it's bad luck.
I mean, your reflection's already doing off shit, and I'm like, that already is bad luck. See, now I can't help but look at the mirror.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard about the TV. I have heard about mirrors.
I think it's
or
more like
same
anything
thing.
I think it's more like anything that with like a fucking reflection in it.
Oh, well, I mean, same thing with pictures. You know, they say that when you take a picture, you're stealing your soul.
Yeah. Have you heard that thing, like, when somebody dies and they have a wake, that you're supposed to open up all the windows and the doors and shit? You're supposed to have like an open breezeway so their soul can fucking ascend or descend, whichever way it's going. But yeah, if you're like at a wake and like the doors and the windows are closed, you're supposed to like cover all the mirrors too. But yeah, just so the soul has a way to get out, which is it's pretty cool though.
But you'd also think it'd be able to just pass through.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you a huge cunt?
Us too. Wait, can we even say cunt?
Of course! It's empowering these days. Cunt. I'm Ange Ballastone, aka the drag queen, That Girl Gina.
And I'm Mike Fales, just a normal gay guy, I guess?
And we're the hosts of The Big Cunty Couch.
A gorgeous new talk show podcast where we invite queers and peers to sit, bitch, and be fierce on a huge-ass couch.
While we gab about all things gay.
So come get cozy.
And cunty.
With us. We're panned for platforms, so find us anywhere online and get listening, sweetie.
Or watching.
Or both.
Otherwise, why the hell am I in full drag?
And we'll see you on the big Oh, wait. I thought we were going to say that together.
No. On the Big Cunty Couch. Mwah.
I guess, man, but people are like real weird with their beliefs.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I don't know. I mean, that's nothing that I've ever heard, though. I can say that's
a new fact for you.
Yeah.
Even like when my grandfather died, we had gone to his wake when I was like 12. But they had him in his house. They had this little hallway that he always had closed out. So he had, I want to say it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. So the way it was set up was one of those weird old Mexico houses. It was his patio, and then you'd walk in, and it'd be when you got onto the patio, there was 2 doors. There was one that he always had locked, and nobody would go through there. And then he had the one that goes into the kitchen, and then in the kitchen right next to it is the bathroom, and then you walk off to the left side, and then there's a bedroom where he had 2 beds. And then in the bedroom there was another door that led out to the back part of the house that was always locked as well, to like the back patio. And then next to that, to the left side, was a doorway that he had with a curtain, but we'd never be able to go through there. Like, he'd always scold us whenever we'd go near it. And it wasn't until after he died that I figured out what it was. It was a hallway that led to a second room, which he had stuff that had like my grandma's stuff, like pictures and her clothing. And my grandma died in 96, I want to say.
Okay.
And my grandpa died like 05. So it's crazy that he just had that one room sealed off with all her shit. And sorry, Grandma, it's not shit. Your precious memories. But he had sealed off like old furniture that was hers, and like plates and like pictures of her, and then like clothing. Because generally, my grandfather was an asshole. He was abusive. He was a real piece of shit. Sorry, Grandpa. But
sorry, Grandpa, but you suck.
Yeah, so when they had his wake, they didn't have it in his room. They had it in that little hallway. And then that second door that was always locked, we always thought was to that other room. But it was actually leads into the hallway. And we had that door open, and as kids, you don't, like, it's the wake, like, everybody's sad and all that, but you just want to play. So me and my oldest niece, which is maybe like 2-3 years old, younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like 9. And we're just running around and playing and whatnot. And we go in there where the coffin is, and then everybody's just crying. So we're like, all right, let's leave. And then we just go to close the door. And then they start yelling at us, like, you're not supposed to close the door. It traps the spirit. And I was like, okay. It's like, I mean, he's been in here for like 8 hours. I would assume the spirit left by now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was something weird. That's always been on my mind. Like, it's real weird to just kind of have that kind of exposure being so young. Like, I think about it now, I was like, I don't think if I had kids, I'd, like, if their grandparent died, I don't think I'd ever, like, take him to that, and I'd be like, no, you're gonna have to sit her and I'll go handle this. But yeah, no, my mom brought my oldest sister, myself, my oldest niece, and my younger sister, but she's still older than I am. But she took all of us, and we're still like kids and whatnot, and I kind of always played in my head and be like, why would you do that? It's like, because you gotta see the person. I get it's like to say your like final goodbyes and all that, but
Yeah.
being so young, I didn't have like really any memories of my grandfather because he didn't live in Arizona. He lived in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we'd only go see him maybe like 2 times a year, and that I can recall was maybe like 5 years that we'd go visit. So I'd only end up seeing the dude like 10 times in my whole life that I can remember.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy just to know that he still had that like that weird love for my grandma, even though when she was alive he treated like shit. But yeah, no, that always kind of tripped me out, that little fucking off room there. But I don't know, man. I think they ended up selling that property. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's next to my mom's old haunted house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with the land, but
Well, I mean, the funny thing is you talk about, kind of that secret room. And I don't remember the name of it, but it's a big house that was built with all kinds of secret doors.
oh, the
and
Winchester Manor.
Yes.
Yeah, it was more like
that's-
that was more like secret rooms for no reason. This was more like a room where he just had sentimental shit that he didn't want to like linger on, like he didn't
Yeah.
want to think about, and then because I mean it's the love of his life. Like no matter what he was, at the end of the day, that was his wife, and she passed away. I believe it was like cancer or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she passed away like maybe 2 months after I was born. So I knew her for like 2 months. But from what I remember, she was a sweet lady. But yeah,
From the few eye blinks I gave
Yes,
her and
for
the
the
time
2.
she rocked me to sleep.
and one time I threw up on her. She
In
didn't
her
throw
mouth.
Me, she didn't throw me against the wall, so I always appreciate that, Grandma.
She just dropped you onto the floor.
She's like, gross. Take your dirty kid. But yeah, it's crazy. They always like kind of like I think about it, and it puts a little twinge in my heart that even after she passed away, after all those years, he ended up keeping all her stuff, and he had it in that little room off to the side over there that he would never let anybody go. Like even my mom wouldn't be allowed to go through there. And my mom was always there, like taking care. Well, when we'd go, she'd always be there, just hanging out with him, talking with him,
Yeah.
and just taking care of him, making him food and shit. And even like that, he wouldn't really let anybody go through there. And I don't know what they ended up doing with that stuff when he passed away. I'm not sure if they split it between like all the siblings. But
It all depends on how they have the will written up.
I don't think he had a will actually. But that's a different story.
Yeah, that'll definitely be another. Maybe we'll make that a part 3.
Just emotional memories.
Emotional memories and the No Will Bandit.
No will bandit. No, but I don't think I ever saw anything in that house. They always said that area was haunted as well, because that's in the same like little plot of land where my mom had that house I had talked about, where everybody would see shit, and then it's like maybe like 100 feet from that wash where that kid had drowned. That I talked about, I believe, in the first podcast I was ever on, where that little kid, he drowned while he was playing in the river. Well, he wasn't playing in the river. He was supposed to be fucking bathing in it. Because his family.
Actually, I think that might have been during the voodoo episode.
No, it was before, because I remember I was talking about all the Spanish shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All the Spanish ghost. Yeah, no, but it's like just that area is pretty fucking haunted within itself. And my dad's house in Mexico, so my parents are divorced, but my dad has he has a house in his hometown, which is Tinguindí, Michoacán. And even that little area where he's at is pretty fucking haunted as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's up? You heard something?
Yeah, I thought I heard like a banging, but then I'm like, yeah, it was probably from upstairs.
Yeah.
Those guys seem like assholes.
They're rowdy as fuck. But my dad's house is like this smaller. Well, it's not small. It's practically a 2-story little house. But the way it's set up, it's real fucking weird. It's like when you walk in, you have 2 bedrooms, and then you have 2 doors leading out, Outside, you have like a little court that it leads into, and then next to the court is the bathrooms, and then on the other side of you go out of the rooms,
Yeah.
is the kitchen, which is fucking super weird, which is like an open concept kitchen. But he has this old ass furniture, and when the first time me and my sister had gone over to Mexico, we stayed with him for a month over there, just like all the festivals and shit.
Yeah.
Because those people know how to party. But we were sleeping in the middle of the night, and my sister, she wakes up, and then I was sleeping in the same little room with her, and she woke me up, and she's like, "Did you hear that?" I was like, "I didn't hear shit," so I went back to sleep. And then in the morning, she's telling us, like, she heard, like, all the plates and all the silverware in the kitchen was fucking flipped and shit, and she was scared to go check it out. So she told my dad, and my dad went in the morning. He's like, "No, all the plates are fine. All the shit's put where it's supposed to be." So it's not like anybody came in or anything like that. It's like a ghost if you're thinking that. But even that little street, everybody says that if you're walking through the street, not to look up. Because earlier in when they were making that little section of the fucking in Mexico, like almost like the 80s, they were lynching gay people. So on that street, they had caught a gay dude, and they fucking lynched him from one of like the little light post things. So every once in a while, like if you're fucking walking by yourself at night and you look up, you'll see that shit, and you gotta fucking run. But
why do you have to run?
I don't know, man. They just told me you gotta fucking run. I was like, okay.
Or you end up lynched?
I don't know, man. He'll give you a kiss. A kiss from Rose. But
on a grave.
Yeah, but
and it'll be your kiss of death.
The terrifying part about that was for those festivals, they wouldn't start till like maybe like 9 at night, and they wouldn't end till like 5 in the morning. Not even that, it was like 3 in the morning. So you're walking home drunk and at night. So then I always had that urge to want to look up, but then I'm kind of a fucking scaredy cat. So I was like, oh man, even though my dad's here and my sister's here, it's like I don't want to do that.
You start looking up, and then it's like, oh nope.
Yeah, and it's a part of Mexico where it's not like super advanced, so it's like maybe like 3 street lights to maybe like a fucking mile of street, and it's that weird like eerie like bluish light.
Okay.
But and then my dad lived. His house was next to this giant fucking park. It's like just fucking trees and shit. You can hear howling and fucking whatnot. But he lived like at the end of the street and near the park.
Yeah.
So that was always something.
It definitely sounds like an intense area to live.
Well, yeah. It's super fun during the daytime.
Yeah, just at night, not so much.
Yeah, because even through that park on the other side, that's where all the fucking the cartel used to run drugs through. So you gotta believe that there might be somebody buried in that park. Actually, in that park, there was a little like pool section, like off to like the far like corner, like left side.
Yeah.
So the span of this park is maybe like 5 miles. I want to say it's like a big ass fucking park. It's like Reed Park, like the fucking whole size of that park.
Yeah.
It's about that size, but they had found a dead guy. He was he had drowned, like he was drunk. And my dad actually knew the guy because my dad's a bit of a scumbag too. He ended up dating the dead guy's wife for a minute. Her name was Flora. And he dated her, but he was telling us that her husband had drowned in that little fucking pool area.
Yeah.
That they had suspected foul play, but at the end of he had alcohol in his system. So when the toxicology report came back, everybody just assumed he was fucking hammered because he was an alcoholic. He like fucking spent his day drinking.
Oh, Jesus.
That he was just walking in the park and he fell in the thing and he just drowned. And that's how the lady's husband had to be fucking like everybody's like, oh, fucking how dirty alcoholic. He drowned. It's like that's what he deserved. But at the same time, they had found like marks where he was like fucking like scratching, like fucking he had like cuts on his arms and shit. So a lot of people thought that hey, maybe somebody fucking drowned him, and there maybe saw something he wasn't supposed to see with the cartel running, fucking drugs and shit over there. So that was always an interesting story. And that pool, like every time we had gone back, we had gone twice.
Yeah.
And we had gone for a month each time, and that pool was never fucking open. Like it looked like it was falling apart. Nobody ever did maintenance on it. And just on the side, it had like a little fucking like little bundle of rocks, and it had like a little memoriam thing, which is fucking it's crazy, man. You're gonna fucking see some shit, and they're gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's definitely intense. But talk about bad energies. That's your bad energy right there.
Go swimming, a fucking drunk ghost just pulls you down. You smell Patron, you fucking run.
Oh god.
More
That just sounds like an alcoholic's nightmare.
This pool tastes like rum and coke to you?
And dead body.
And dead body.
Rum, coke, and death.
What else, man? I had another story from when we were in Mexico. Oh, so the part where my aunt lives, we'd visit her because she used to make fucking bomb ass food. Well, she still does. She's got a sweet ass mole and she makes bomb food. But
nice.
Yeah, but that part where she lives, it's like more of the more like poorer areas. It's like a house next to house next to house next to house next to house, and then her house was like the second to last house on the street. And like I'm saying, these houses are attached. So next to the last house was like a fucking like a wash. But it was like a little thin one, like fucking jumpable. Like if you get a running start, you can jump that shit, but it's fucking deep.
Oh, okay.
And on the other side was this open fucking field with these little fucking like little, I want to say little pyres that they had built there, and then you always wondered what the fuck those were for. But it was like little
Stonehenge teleportation.
sort of like that, but it wasn't stone. It was made out of wood, and they had like little fucking like plants on the fucking outside, so you would think maybe like it's like a growing. Wood hinge, yes. It wasn't the aliens, but it was something else. But me and my sister and one of my cousins, like the younger one, were sitting there, and they were just talking, and I'm looking at the pyre, and then from a fucking, like I'm looking at it, and I see a little fucking figure run from one pit behind the other one. And in Mexico, they have a big belief in duendes, which are fucking like dwarfs, like evil dwarfs. And in that area, a lot of people had said that they had seen them. And I didn't figure this shit out till after I fucking freaked out. I was like, what the fuck was that? And then my sister's like, it's probably a dog. I was like, dogs don't run like that.
Dogs don't run on two legs.
They don't look humanoid. What the fuck?
They don't have tiny pointed caps.
Exactly. Well, it didn't have a little pointed cap. It was just a little fucking ugly little motherfucker running. But, yeah, I never wanted to go back there, but, I mean, the food's too good. Gotta risk it.
You gotta risk getting kidnapped by an evil dwarf. Like the one at the warehouse.
Is there a dwarf in the warehouse?
Yeah, well, midget dwarf, I mean.
Oh, that's fucked up. He's a nice guy.
Watch him run.
Watch it. Dude, he's fucking fast, though.
Yeah, he's gotta be not human.
He does a lean forward. Just get more aerodynamic.
The way he waddles is more efficient.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's horrible.
Yeah, man, but I think that's pretty much the only things I can think about right now was those stories. Oh, actually one more. we had a cousin who had told us a story when we had gone to visit her, and I believe it was Cucurpe was where my stepdad was from. And that's like a little town where like the fucking river cuts like right through it, like when you get like a light rain, it's gonna flood all the fucking streets. But Cucurpe is right next, is maybe like 4 miles from like where Magdalena is, which is another big city near where my mom was born. But at this time, our cousin was telling us the story that her and her, I think it was her boyfriend, they had gone with a bunch of friends to fucking just hang out in like that wash right there, and they were just hanging out and whatnot. And all of a sudden, their friends are like, "Oh, we're gonna go grab more beer." It's like, "We're gonna take the car. You guys can just chill here by the fucking little fire we started. You guys should be fine." And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, whatever. You guys will be back in maybe like 20 minutes tops." So they're just hanging around there and they're just fucking drinking and whatnot. And she was telling me this is in the wash, and the wash runs through the fucking town. And then I think if you go far enough through the wash, you'll end up in Magdalena. So they were just hanging out by the fire, and then they were starting to talk about La Llorona.
Oh god.
Yeah, and then they said that they started feeling like it was gonna rain. Like, you can pick up that like wet smell, like the wet earth.
Yeah.
They start smelling that, but they hadn't heard anything about it gonna rain. And then they start hearing whistling in the distance. And then they heard it from fucking like far away. And then they heard it from behind them. And then they started hearing it from their sides. So then they're like, what the fuck do we do? He's like, do we just wait for them to come back? He's like, we don't. This is before like fucking phones were a big thing. Like maybe like fucking little Motorola flip phones, but this is in Mexico, so everybody's poor and they can't afford that shit. So like, what the fuck do we do? He's like, do we wait out for them to come back? It's like, because the whistling's getting closer and it's starting to fucking like come around us. And then she's all like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna make a run to Magdalena, which like I said is 4 miles away. Jesus. So that's a good chunk of running. So they started running and they took off to Magdalena. They still started hearing the fucking whistling and whatnot. And they had been running for maybe like a good like 2 hours, and they see a church off in the distance. And she wanted to run towards it, but her boyfriend's like, no, we're not going there. She's like, there's somebody there who can help us. Like, you can see some lights in there. And he's like, no, we're not going through there. So then they ended up going to Magdalena. They got there, so then they fucking get to a phone and they call their friends to come pick them up. And they've been running for a minute. So then she asked him, like, why didn't we stop at the church? Like, they could have fucking helped us. He's like, I've lived here my whole life. He's like, I've been around this whole fucking area, and not once in my life have I seen that church there. He's like, that's never been there before.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so then I was like, that's crazy. So she always fucking kind of like put it up to like Llorona, but she never explained like the ghost church. But I thought that was like freaky, and I just kind of talking about that, giving me fucking, my hairs are raised.
Yeah, churches in and of themselves can be, related to many creepy things, but a
ghost church,
yeah, no thanks.
Like, have you ever read that post about like the rules to like to exploring an abandoned church?
No.
If I ever find it again, I'll send you it. But it's like if never stay the night. Like, if you're gonna stay there, always leave before the sun comes up. If you forget something in the morning when you're leaving, don't ever turn back, because then that's gonna take you to a different place. Don't invite anything in. Don't call anything out in the church, even if it's like holy ground. You never want to try to provoke like a ghost or a demon there. Like the whole thing, what else was like, if you fucking stay till after the fucking, like when the sun comes up, you're gonna be trapped there. Like, it's a different dimension you're going into. Like, everything looks the same, but then you'll start noticing little shit that's off, and then you'll start fucking figuring out that you're not in the same place and you can't get back. And it's crazy. If I ever find it, I will send you it, because it's real fun to like read, but it's also very scary. It's very spoopy.
Well, I think we can leave it off with that, and also the fact of, they say if anything's been said, it's because it's happened.
Yeah.
Any sign, any warning, anything like that comes from at least one experience.
Yeah, like somebody fucking, they've been through this shit.
So that's food for thought right there.
I don't want to think about it.
But I think on
it's
that note...
It's almost 10, I don't want to fucking think about that shit right now.
Yeah, I think on that note, we'll go ahead and call it, because I know we got to be up for work in the good old AM.
I don't know what's worse, the fucking knowing I'm not going to get any sleep because of the ghost stories, or knowing I have to go back to work in the morning.
Both.
They're both equally terrifying.
But we'll go ahead and cut it there, and then we will hopefully see you guys next time with a part 2 to all Frankie's stories.
Hopefully, man. Let's get him back on here. He's got some good stories to tell.
Are you listening, Frankie? Come back. Maybe come back.
We're coming for you.
But alrighty, we will say goodnight to you all. And remember, always cover your feet, because you never know what's going to pull you under your bed.